Welcome back, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second matchup of Week 7 of Real Big Ten Football Talk +1 with Chris. I am Chris, and let us begin, shall we? This matchup is not one that is historically real relevant, but it is a good old-fashioned rock'em sock'em type of Big Ten matchup. You have number 15 Wisconsin going to the Big House to face the number 12 Wolverines of Michigan. This is a game that is historically not been great for Wisconsin, but really Wisconsin's only been real relevant in the football landscape in the last 20 years. You gotta think. Who came in around 20 years ago? Think. Oh yeah, it was Barry Alvarez, wasn't it? Around 1995-ish. I'm bad about years, but it was around 1995 when you really saw Wisconsin really getting more relevant in football. And it really stuck around after that. In the last 20 years, they've been pretty doggone consistent. Reliable, tough team to play, especially when they play in Camp Randall. They are a tough, hard-nosed Big Ten college football team in Wisconsin. Michigan has been up and down, honestly, the last 20 years. When Lloyd Carr left, it's been kind of in turmoil. More recently, with Jim Harbaugh taking over, is when they've been more of a stable, solid type of team. This game is exciting for a lot of different reasons. I mean, it's a good old-fashioned Big Ten type of matchup. It's not necessarily a named rivalry, but I bet if you ask people in Wisconsin and people in Michigan, is this a rivalry? They're probably going to say, yeah, because it is a border type of game. Michigan and Wisconsin, of course, share borders. So, little tidbits. I decided to move this a little bit closer to the top of the segment this week, just to show how it's an interesting matchup. We'll just say that. I mean, they played each other off and on since 1892, and Michigan won that matchup 10-6. 1892. That was before World War I. The world looked a lot different when these two teams played each other the first time. Michigan has won the series 15-1, as I said before. Historically, Wisconsin hasn't done great against Michigan, but you have to think of how far back Wisconsin really goes as far as relevance in football. Not that far back. So, last time Michigan lost to Wisconsin in the Big House was in 2010, 48-28. This stat took me a little bit to find. 1994 was the last time Wisconsin beat Michigan in the Big House when Michigan was ranked. Wisconsin was not ranked in that particular meeting, and Wisconsin did win 31-19. That tells you how far back Wisconsin goes relevance in football. Not a horrible amount, but still a good team. The last 5, it's been pretty even. Of course, last year Wisconsin beat Michigan 24-10 in Camp Randall Stadium. Then going back to 2016, Michigan beat Wisconsin in the Big House, as both teams were ranked then as well, 14-7. Great game that one was, and they're both in the top 10, which even makes it a little better, stats-wise, or hype-wise, I should say. 2010, these teams don't play each other a whole lot, we'll say. I mean, they went from 2016 to 2010 was the last time they played each other before that. Kind of like Ohio State and Minnesota. Those two teams don't play each other a whole lot, like we talked about in my last video. 2010, Michigan lost to Wisconsin, 48-28 in the Big House. 2009, Wisconsin beat them again in Camp Randall that time, 45-24. 2008, pretty big upset. Michigan did beat Wisconsin in the Big House, 27-25. I do believe that was Lloyd Carr's last year coaching. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Michigan fans. For this year, neither team has played great competition, we'll say. Honestly, I mean, Wisconsin they lost to BYU in Camp Randall. It was a head scratcher of a loss. I did a little research on those stats just to see, well, maybe BYU held Wisconsin 100 yards rushing or something. No. Wisconsin had 200 yards of rushing. They didn't do great on third down conversion percentage in that game, but still a head scratcher of a loss. I still don't really understand how they just let BYU beat them. And BYU's only 3-3 right now. So, just weird. Wisconsin did beat Iowa in Iowa City, which is not an easy place to play. Anyway, ask Ohio State last year. For Michigan, the team they played that was ranked, the only ranked team that either of these two teams had played, was Notre Dame. Opening night, they lost 24-17 in South Bend. Not a bad loss, considering Notre Dame is number 5 right now in the AP top 25. But that was the only ranked team Michigan has played since, and they've beaten everybody, which is great, but they really, both of these teams, honestly, really could use that high-profile win to give themselves some confidence moving forward and to be a dark horse in the college football playoff. Either of these teams could make that run depending on how they do against each other on Saturday. Now let's look at the rushing. No big shock for Wisconsin, 287 rushing yards per game. They've always been a reliable, consistent, hard-nosed running type of football team. They haven't had great passers. They've had good passers, not great. That ranks 4th nationally as far as 287 rushing yards per game. They haven't been great on defense really at all. They've not been bad, Wisconsin, but they are giving up on average 130.2 rushing yards per game. It's not great, especially being a Big Ten team. That is 42nd nationally. Michigan, on the other hand, they're rushing. Not wonderful. Middle of the pack, honestly, 199.8 yards per game on the ground. Not bad. 42nd is where they rank nationally in rushing offense. But where Wisconsin's going ahead and run into a brick wall is Michigan's defense against the run. 96.5 yards per game they give up on average. That is 6th nationally. Michigan hasn't faced teams that don't like to run the ball here and there. So that is pretty good. Wisconsin, 42nd defensive rank. And the teams they played, it's not very good. Doesn't look good for their defense. And their offense. Okay, you've run 287 yards per game. Who have you played? Not much. So the stats for Wisconsin, you have to take with a grain of salt because of who they played so far. Passing, neither team throws the ball very efficiently, we'll say. 193.2 yards per game for Wisconsin. That ranks 101st nationally. Wisconsin need to get some balance on offense. But they've only given up 8 sacks. That's not bad, at least. Hornibrook isn't getting hit too often, but he doesn't throw the ball that often, I'm sure, either. And it shows 193.2 yards per game for passing. Sacks allowed, 41st. This Wisconsin team ranks nationally. In fact, both teams have only given up 8 sacks, which is good. It's keeping their quarterbacks healthy, which is very good going down the stretch. On defense, Wisconsin's okay against the pass, giving up 219.6 yards on average, but we go back to who have they played to be ranked 54th nationally against the pass. They haven't been playing the likes of Texas Tech and Washington State, this Wisconsin Badgers team. They haven't played air raid offenses, and they're still giving up, I think, too many yards through the air. Michigan, 134 passing yards they've allowed on average per game. That's 1st nationally. And looking at who they've played, that's pretty good. Michigan's played pretty good defense. And I honestly think they should be ranked a little higher due to the fact that they've played decent competition and they've played them very well. Offensive efficiency. Both teams, not bad. Time of possession for Wisconsin, 35 minutes, but I think you can look at the fact that they run the ball so much. You run the ball, you're a running team. You'll probably go home to the ball a lot longer than, say, teams that maybe throw the ball a little more. Because of course, you got to think, you pass the ball a lot, you get incompletions, it stops the clock. It's just, it's common sense, really. First downs, Wisconsin played one less game than Michigan. Remember that when you're looking at the bare raw stats. So 118 first downs for Wisconsin, 125 for Michigan. Pretty even. Third down efficiency, 49% for both. Not bad. Turnovers lost, 5 for both. Again, not bad. Considering Michigan has played one game more than Wisconsin and still only turned the ball over 5 times. It's pretty good. Red zone percentage. Wisconsin, done pretty daggone well scoring. Touchdown percentage as well, 81%. At the time when they get into the red zone, they score touchdowns for Wisconsin. Pretty good. They've scored 96% of the time they've gotten inside the 20 for Wisconsin. That's taking advantage of the opportunities you get on offense. That's good. That guy's 14th nationally. Michigan struggle a little bit when they get inside the 20 on offense. Only up scoring touchdowns 64% of the time. 88% of the time they score in general inside the 20. It's okay. It's 46th nationally. Not great. Considering the teams they played. Again, not great. Because they haven't played tough, hard-nosed defenses outside of Notre Dame. So it shows that their offense struggles a little bit in Michigan. Wisconsin, not bad. You can only play who you play, and who they played, they've done pretty daggone well, efficiently, inside the 20, as this Wisconsin Badgers team. Penalties, both teams aren't great. I mean, this stat really just, again, as a former player, and just, like I said, I'm a Marine. I look at discipline as a factor. Both these teams leave way too many yards on the field. Wisconsin, not awful, 6.2 yards, or 6.2 on average penalties they commit per game for 52 yards. Okay, they're leaving 52 yards on the field. That's still something, and that still probably could have helped them to beat that BYU team. They did commit some penalties down the stretch that did hurt them and allowed BYU to keep going up the field. It's not great. Michigan, 8.6 penalties committed per game. 78.8 yards on average they leave on the field per game. That probably could have helped you against Notre Dame when you weren't committing 8.6 penalties on average. That can come back to bite you later on in the season, Michigan, if it doesn't in this game. Looking forward, overall defense. Michigan looks pretty daggone good. Now, turnovers gained, neither team has been great, but Wisconsin does knock the ball out more often than Michigan on fumbles recovered. Interceptions, neither team is great, but not bad. Wisconsin has forced 9 turnovers versus Michigan 6. Sacks, though. Michigan gets after the quarterback. Alex Hornibrook for Wisconsin, better be careful. Michigan on average has 18 sacks per game, or has 18 sacks, not per game, just raw stats, 18 sacks. That's 20th nationally. Wisconsin's only had 5. I know they played 1 game fewer than Michigan, but Wisconsin's defense is only averaging, we'll say averages here, 1 sack per game. That's 118th nationally in just raw numbers. Defensive touchdowns. Michigan's had 2. Wisconsin has had because I don't think the website I use counts if you have either 1 or 0. So we're going to say Wisconsin probably has 0 defensive touchdowns. Total defense for Wisconsin, not awful. 349.8 yards per game. That is 41st nationally. But again, if you played Wisconsin, not great competition to be giving up 349.8 yards per game. That does not bode well to me when you're facing a team like Michigan. Michigan doesn't have great offense, no, but look at their defense. They're getting up 230.5 yards per game in total defense. That's first nationally. What can I say? Michigan dominates on defense. They have the last couple years, and they are this year. Keys to the game. Wisconsin needs to establish some sort of a passing game early to make yourself more balanced, Wisconsin. You're going up against a very good rushing defense in Michigan. You have to be able to throw the ball. Keep that Michigan stingy defense guessing. Allow you to set up that powerful running game. But it has to start with the pass. Alex Hornibrook needs to get confident early in the game. Complete some good passes over the middle, along the sideline, whatever, to make Michigan ease up a little bit inside that box and allow you to run the ball against them. And for your defense, Wisconsin, you gotta sack Shea Patterson. You've only had 5 sacks this year. You've got to hit him. You've got to keep him comfortable. You got to quiet that big house crowd of going to be over 100,000 plus. Now you're Wisconsin. Obviously, you're used to playing in loud environments, but still, big house isn't an easy place to play. You haven't won there since 2010. You've got to try to keep them quiet early by making big plays on offense. Force some turnovers on defense. Give your offense some short field throughout the game, Wisconsin. And you got to make clean tackles on defense to help prevent those big plays that you can struggle against at times this year. For Michigan, you've got to shut down Wisconsin on the ground early. You've got to force Alex Hornibrook to beat you. And if you force Alex Hornibrook to beat you, I don't think Alex Hornibrook's going to beat you. So remember, you have the sixth best defense on the ground. Hit someone, Michigan. Knock those running backs on the rear end. Make Wisconsin pass the ball more, and you can beat them. And you got to hit Hornibrook early and often. After you made him try to beat you through the air, you got to also hit him. Make him feel uncomfortable. Make him make mistakes. And you are in the big house. Keep your crowd rowdy by getting some sacks on D, getting some big plays on offense. Make them rowdy from game start to game end. Give them a reason to celebrate. Make that Wisconsin offense out of balance or out of sorts with your crowd noise on top of good play on defense. You've got to play more discipline and reduce those daggone penalties, Michigan. Those penalties can kill you. If you commit too many in this game, you can lose. And you can't turn the ball over and play some offense as well. Because your offense hasn't looked great, Michigan. Now, who do I pick? Who we talked about. Wisconsin. You haven't played great opponents. Not to take anything away from BYU beating you in Camp Randall. But that hurts you. The teams you played, you beat them, that's great. You beat them running the ball. Well, what does it mean when you can beat lesser opponents running the ball? It means you are good at exerting your will against a weaker team. You're not facing a weaker team this week in Michigan. You're facing a hard-nosed, tough running defense. If you try to use your running game against Michigan exclusively almost like you've done most of the year, you're going to lose. Hornibrook has to get something going through the air. Michigan, you've got a great defense. You're in the big house. So who do I pick? I'm picking Michigan, 21-17, for a few reasons. They're home. They do very well at home. In fact, they're undefeated at home this year. They are good against the run. Wisconsin has not shown me that they can win through the air. I don't think they go win through the air in this particular contest. I think Michigan's defense is going to hit Alex Hornibrook early and often. I also think Michigan's defense is going to stop that run like they have all year. And I do think Michigan's going to win this game in a good, close, classic Big Ten fashion, 21-17. That's all I have for this matchup. Like, subscribe if you like this video, if you like my content. Please share it on Facebook. Please hit that little bell icon beside the subscribe to let you know when I post new content. Please let me know in the comments what you think of this particular video, and let me know what I can do to improve on it better. Dislike it if you don't like it, but if you do, hit that thumbs down. Please let me know so I can improve these videos moving forward. Again, thank you for watching, and enjoy the games this weekend, guys.